You're locked in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio. It's the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. We are all about building the business you need for the life that you want. And what kind of life is that? In my view, I don't think you're going to have a really exciting life if you're spending every moment building your business. So I think that building your business should be something that you're doing to support the wonderful life that you want to live. And some people have really mastered this to the point that they can teach you how to build wealth blissfully. And wouldn't that be amazing to be able to build wealth blissfully without stress and to do it in a way that you can enjoy your life and not be a prisoner of your own business? Well, real estate is one of the vehicles that this can happen for you. And today's expert is going to really help us dial that in for how to build wealth blissfully through real estate. Moneeka Sawyer is the Blissful Millionaire. She hosts the radio show Real Estate Investing for Women, and she has been featured on stages with Suzanne Sommer, Martha Stewart, and Hal Elrod at places like the Nasdaq Marketplace, Harvard, Carnegie Hall, and she's been on NBC, CBS, ABC, and Fox, reaching over 150 million people with her joyful and shining personality. And I'm looking at her right now through the radio. No, actually, I'm looking at her on the website, and it's a real pleasure to have you, Moneeka Sawyer. Welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Thank you, Ralph. It's such a pleasure to be here.
You really exude the bliss.
It's my thing.
It's your thing. I mean, you are the Blissful Millionaire. And so, I think we need to first establish, before we go any further, what is bliss? How do you define bliss?
Yeah. Right. Thank you so much for asking that, because everybody has a different idea when they hear that word, right?
Yeah.
So how I'm defining it is a really deep sense of joy and contentment, and the confidence that you can handle anything that comes your way. So it's really all about emotional mastery and emotional resilience.
Wow, that's pretty powerful. And you're saying that you can achieve that through real estate. Real estate always sounds kind of stressful to me. What is your secret? How did you learn to become blissfully wealthy through real estate?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that. So there's a couple of different questions you asked there, so I'd like to address them one at a time. So blissful wealth is really about integrating the building of wealth into your life in a way that supports your bliss. So I want it to be a piece of the journey that supports and accentuates your joy rather than taking it away from you. So many people, when they think about money, it causes stress, right?
Yeah. Usually because they don't have enough of it.
That's right? Which is why we go to the next step, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't want money or building wealth or any of those pieces, which are a very necessary part of our world and our life. You don't want those things causing stress. So blissful wealth is really about creating that wealth and creating the money in a way that supports the joy in your life. So why do we talk about real estate being blissful? Well, real estate, when people think about real estate, normally they certainly do not think about bliss. They think about the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that they're trying to achieve, right?
Yeah.
But with bliss, you really want to enjoy the whole journey, because here's the truth. When you get to that pot of gold at the end of the journey, you're going to have another pot of gold that you're going to want to reach for. So you get to enjoy that for just a little while. As humans, we adjust to our any new circumstance becomes our new normal. And then we set a new set of goals, right? So if you're just happy when you're at that end result, you only get to enjoy your bliss for a very short period of time, because then there's another end result that you're going for. So bliss is really about enjoying the entire journey, the entire process. And then when you get that pot of gold, what can you do with it too, right? Like I'm a big philanthropist. I love to donate my time, my money, my energy, not only to philanthropic things, but also to helping people to achieve wealth blissfully, right? That's my heart work. So that's really kind of what I'm looking at when I talk about blissful wealth. So how did I get there? My very first focus was on bliss. I had a very difficult childhood. I was bullied, tormented, humiliated. Horrible things happened on the back end of that. Physical violence and stuff like that. And so from a very young age, the thing that I wanted more than anything was to be happy, because I was miserable. So I created skills for survival at first, but then I moved from survive to thrive, right? Like I developed strategies to create bliss within my own life. As I went out there and started to talk about bliss, so I wrote a book called Choose Bliss, which became a really big media sensation. I've been all over the country talking about it. And the biggest question that I would get from people is, how are you able to be blissful if you're broke, which is what you just talked about, right?
That's a great question. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy for you to say you're the blissful millionaire. If I had $1 million, I'd be blissful.
Well, actually, is that true? How many rich people do you know that are blissful?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So money doesn't make us happy, but I will say that even though it doesn't make us happy, not having money up to a certain degree, and this is scientifically proven, up to a certain degree, it will make you miserable not having money.
Oh, this is true.
After you're able to kind of pay, after you're able to pay the bills, and there's some number, I think it's $75,000 per year, but of course it depends on where you live. But after that number, then it can't increase your happiness, but then what you can do with it will increase your happiness, right? So money can't buy you happiness, but not having money will certainly take away from your happiness. So that's the question that I got so much of.
It sounds like that part of this bliss is, once it gets to that point, is it's not just creating happiness for yourself, but it's being able to create happiness for other people in a bigger way. Because like you said, there's only so much happiness you can create for yourself before you just kind of hit that limit. But there's really no limit to the amount of happiness and bliss that you can create for other people.
That's exactly right. There's actually something called the giver's high. And I know everybody's going to start experiencing this during the holidays, which is right around the corner. But there's this feeling of giving that makes us feel really, really good. And that's one of my 12 pillars of bliss, is to help others and to give back. And we're able to do that and fill our hearts up more when we've got more wealth, so we can go out there and create that happiness for others. So that's why this whole concept of blissful wealth came together. Ironically, I handled the money piece very young in my life. I started investing in real estate. I'm a legacy real estate investor. So my dad did it. That's where I sort of got turned on to it. I've created my own strategies to make it blissful, because it was not blissful for my dad. But I got started in real estate very young. I was like 25, and I got that money piece handled. Now I call it that mundane piece of my life, so that then I can go out and do all of those amazing things that I'm wanting to do in the world that really fill me up, and I don't really have to worry about the money. So because I had already got that handled in that way, that's the reason I started to talk about building blissful wealth through real estate, because I know it can be done. I've done it myself, and I've helped others do it. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and it's very inspiring, because it really ties into the whole Rebelpreneur spirit. What we're trying to do is not just build a great business, we're trying to build a great life, and it sounds like the path to building a great life and a blissful life is to build a blissful business in real estate. So who do you help to achieve this? Describe the people who benefit the most. You have a radio show, Real Estate Investing for Women. Describe your audience. Who do you work with the most to help them to build wealth blissfully?
Okay, so first of all, I am not a real estate agent. I help people to, as a coach and as a teacher and as an author and a speaker, to as a coach on how to build your investing portfolio. And the audience for my show is so much fun because it's really varied, all the way from women. So it's all women, which is why it's called For Women.
Yeah.
Although I have helped a lot of men, but this whole bliss concept, the word specifically seems to attract women more. So anyways, from 25, so the millennials, all the way to women that are in their early 60s wanting to retire and they need a strategy. So that whole range, I've got mommies who are single and want to build for their children. And I've got mostly professional women. So these are smart, successful women who have already achieved quite a lot, but they're kind of realizing, gosh, my 401k is not going to pay for my retirement. I've climbed the corporate ladder. I've got all the things, right? The nice car, the nice house, the adorable husband, the cute kids. I've got the stuff. Is this it? Like, really? Is this the end of my life? Like, I want more. And so a lot of them
they've got
will
all
turn
the
to
stuff,
me
but they're not feeling blissful. There's no bliss there.
That's right.
That's the missing
That's right.
piece.
And so they're looking for that blissful piece. And part of that is, how can I transition out of my work to a life that I own rather than a job that owns me? Right? Which is exactly what you talked about at the beginning, is you don't want your business, your life, your work to own you. It should support what you love in your life and the life that you want to create.
Excellent. And I think it's important.
So that's mostly who I work with, is mostly professional women.
Yes. And so you were not, just to clarify, and let me make sure I understand, you're not trying to turn people into real estate agents. You're turning them into real estate investors, right?
Right. Being an agent is just another job.
Yes.
Your appointments own you. If you're not working, you're not getting paid. It's just another job. And it can be really hard. As an agent, you make commissions. So the potential for making money is amazing, but it's still just a job. As an investor, you make money while you sleep. You don't have to be active. I only work maybe 5 to 10 hours a month, and I turned $10,000 into several $1 million, right? So the capacity for building wealth is so much bigger in investing, and you don't have to do it full time. It can be your side hustle to begin if you've already got a job. It can be your side gig. And then when you're able to move into it full time, you're not even working full time. It's more like the full time money without the full time work. Yeah. That's kind of what I teach people to do.
No wonder it's called blissfulinvestor.com, because that sounds that sounds like a lot of fun. Let me see. Make more money, work less hours. Yeah, I could see where that would be kind of blissful.
Yeah, just kind of.
So then here's the big question. If you make it sound so easy. I know that you have worked at this and you have created a success system, and that's the secret. And you certainly had a good background, good support system from your dad. What is the biggest obstacle to ordinary people like me or some of your clients, your listeners, who are, and even some listening right now, who maybe they have no experience in real estate, or they have no clue where to begin? What's the biggest hurdle, the biggest problem you see with the people that you're wanting to help to get them to this place of blissful wealth building?
So I would say it's very basically fear. It's fear of the unknown, fear that they don't know enough, fear that they can't do it, fear that they're not smart enough. There's a lot of fear that all of us carry around. And what ends up happening is, first of all, nothing can happen for you until you take action, right? We all know this as entrepreneurs. If you don't do something, nothing happens, right? But this fear will often block people from taking action. And the action doesn't have to be going out and buying a house without knowing anything. The action can be starting to get an education, finding a mentor, taking those first few steps. This can all happen slowly. It's okay. There's no rush. But you have to get past the fear and just take those first few steps. If you're not even willing to get past your fear to start educating yourself, you're never going to get to the next step. And so much of the time, people get so caught up in, I'm never going to be able to do that they don't even start to read a little bit about it. Like, there's so many cheap or free ways to find out about whether this might be something you want to pursue, right? You can read a good book. You can go on YouTube and just search real estate, right? There's so many ways that we can start just getting a little bit more comfortable with the idea and getting past that fear, and then you can take the next step. And I will say this, I have been in the business for 25 years, and I still have fear. Why do I have fear? Because I'm always wanting to look at how to better my business. And so every step that I take is a new step, right? It's a new adventure. It's got new things that I need to learn. And so even I come up against fear. So one of the biggest skills that we need is to accept and honor our fear, know that it's a really good thing because it means that we're expanding ourselves, right? We're not sitting in our comfort zone. Otherwise, there's no fear.
Right.
So it shows us that we're getting bigger, we're getting better, we're doing great things for ourselves, and to step past it just enough to stretch yourself to the next step. So that's what I would say is the biggest obstacle.
I love that. And that is so true. Fear of the unknown, fear of not knowing what I'm doing. And a lot of that is probably looking at what we think is a staircase that has 100 steps, and we think that we have to see all the way to the top before we can take that first step and then the next step. So we're trying to do too much. We get overwhelmed, and then we give up basically before we've even begun the process. So taking someone like me who really has no experience in this, and some of our listeners, but I think we are intrigued at this idea of building wealth blissfully through real estate, not by getting a real estate license, but by becoming a real estate investor with your system. What would be some first steps that we should consider to begin moving in this direction?
Yeah, so if you really want to build your real estate portfolio and you want to build your wealth blissfully, so if bliss is really going to be a focus for you, and I think it should, obviously.
Yes.
There's a couple of resources that I actually offer. So my radio show, Real Estate Investing for Women, is also a podcast on Apple. Again, it's Real Estate Investing for Women. I always say that so fast, and people are like, what did you just say? But anyways, if you want to listen to that show, you get to hear a lot of sort of my philosophies and how I've done it. And then I also speak to amazing experts, and they really stretch me. That's why I do it, because they are so successful and have such good information, and they allow you to think about real estate in a lot of different ways. There are a million different ways to make money in real estate. You don't have to pick my favorite. You could pick your favorite, and you get access to those on my show. The other thing is that I recently released my real estate investing book. It's called, and this is a very long title, so hold on to your seats, Your Amazing Itty Bitty Blissful Real Estate Investing Book. It's a 40-page book. So it's got this long title, but it's a 40-page book that really packs a great punch of like how I do my business, and you can read it in like a half hour, right?
Yeah.
If you can't
long
remember
title,
that title,
amazing results, right?
That's right. And if you can't remember that title, just look up Moneeka Sawyer on Amazon. You'll find it. But the point is, it's a 40-page little starter package. Like, it's so easy, and it'll really get you into my world of real estate and how I see it. So those two resources, the book is like $7, right? So talk about cheap or free, right? The podcast is free. So there are some opportunities for you to learn about building wealth. If you're just starting, building wealth with real estate and keeping bliss as the focus.
I love that. And so they should go to blissfulinvestor.com to learn more about you and to connect with your podcast. Of course, they could go to Apple and search on it, but this is the hub, blissfulinvestor.com. And the name of that book is Your Amazing Itty Bitty Real Estate Book. Did I say that right?
Blissful Real Estate Investing Book.
Oh, see, I I didn't write it. It's too long. I ran out of space. Your amazing, itty-bitty, blissful real estate investing book.
Yes.
Did I get it?
You did! Yay! You did. And, the other thing on that site is people hear, oh, Moneeka, you started with 10,000 and now you're worth several million. How did you do that? Well, if you're curious about exactly how I did that, there's a downloadable report on that site that you can get for free that'll take you year by year by year on how I got started, what I spent, what I did during the big downturns in 2001 and 2008 to protect myself, because I did not lose money. I was one of the few that was prepared. So what is it that I did to do all of those things? So you can get that report there too. So there's a wealth of information there at blissfulinvestor.com.
You've got me hooked. I'm interested. But then the concern is, well, I'm a guy. Is your stuff only going to work for women, since it is real estate investing for women? Will it work for guys?
It will absolutely work for guys. 50% of my clients are men.
Well, okay.
The reason that I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's good.
On the show, I will often talk about women's issues, like how do you deal with being in business during menopause? What do you do when you're about to have a baby? Those sorts of things are definitely women's issues.
Right.
But, you can go through the list of topics, and if that topic doesn't interest you, you don't listen to it. Like, big deal. The rest of it is very applicable for men.
Well, that's encouraging because I think 1 out of 2 people, 50% of the population, are either men or women, right? So,
yeah, right. That's right.
So, I think this is super, and you definitely have the experience and you've got the energy. You exude the bliss that you're talking about. I can imagine, coming into this conversation, not having met you, how to build wealth blissfully. If you had come on here and said, I'm here to talk about how to build wealth blissfully, it just wouldn't have
like
this.
Eeyore. Actually, talking like Eeyore might have cracked you up.
So you bring it. What the tonality, the energy, the personality, everything about you matches and lines up with what you're teaching people how to build wealth blissfully through real estate. Keyword there is bliss. And so this has been really, really enlightening, and I hope that it expands our thinking in true Rebelpreneur spirit, not to limit ourselves and not to say, well, I don't know anything about that, so I'm not going to explore that. Check this out, blissfulinvestor.com, and begin to take the first steps towards blissful investing in real estate. If that is something that has piqued your interest, it has definitely piqued mine. Moneeka, this has really been a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for being on the show. Do you have any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, it's been an honor to be on your show, Ralph. Thank you so much for having me and for this great conversation. And what I'd like to leave your listeners with is this. Goals without action are just dreams. So get out there, take action, and create the life your heart deeply desires.
Beautifully stated. I've been speaking with Moneeka Sawyer. She is the Blissful Millionaire, and she is host of the radio show Real Estate Investing for Women. She's also author of a book, and it's a great big title and lots of wisdom packed into a few pages. You're amazing. Say it again, Moneeka. What's the name of your book?
Yeah, You're Amazing, Itty Bitty Blissful Real Estate Investing Book.
There you have it. You can pick that up on Amazon, or just go to blissfulinvestor.com to find out more. And I think you will enjoy it. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much, Moneeka, for being on Rebelpreneur Radio today. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Ralph. It's been fun.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at rebelpreneur.com.